This is a sports catastrophe production. Hey there, hey there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter and welcome you to another sports catastrophe on this day. And on this day, October 4th, 1991, a massive trade happened that changed the fortunes of a long-suffering franchise. Now, one-sided trades in the NHL were not immune to things in the 1990s. I mean, Pittsburgh kind of won up Hartford at the 91 trade deadline by picking up three key pieces: Ron Francis, Alf Samuelson, and somebody else. I can't remember who. But anyhow, they made Hartford into a bad team. 95, of course, we all know about the Patrick Waugh trade. That Montreal rued that day they made that pick. And of course, the Eric Lindros trade that actually was supposed to help Philly out, but in the end, it helped Quebec/Colorado out. Well, yes, this is the Mark Messier trade in 1991. Messier was a strong guy for the Edmonton Oilers. He was good. He took the Oilers on his back as captain after Gretzky got traded to Los Angeles. He got them to the 1990 Stanley Cup somehow after coming back from 3-1 down against Winnipeg in the first round. But he was disgruntled. There were a lot of issues afoot. Messier actually hired his dad, Doug, to be his agent. Edmonton just could not come to an agreement on the contract to Messier. So Edmonton decided to trade him to the New York Rangers. And the Rangers obliged by giving Edmonton 3 players: Bernie Nichols, Steve Rice, and Louis DeBrusk. Louis DeBrusk is known as an enforcer, and his son Jake is a decent player for Boston. Stephen Rice was a legendary player for, you guessed it, Kitchener! Back in the 1990 Memorial Cup days, when Kitchener was so close to getting the Memorial Cup but lost in double overtime. Fuck you, Bill Armstrong. Anyway, and Bernie Nichols was not that bad of a player, too. He was pretty good. He was a good Kings player. And then strangely enough, he got traded to the Rangers for Tony Granato just before the 1990 All-Star Games. So Nichols was voted into the Campbell Conference, or now what we call it the Western Conference, like their All-Star team. And he was actively playing for an Eastern team, or Prince of Wales team. That means the Rangers. So anyway, the trade was huge. As for the Oilers that went to the Rangers, Rice didn't really do much in Edmonton. DeBrusk was okay with the Oilers. He was their enforcer in a bit. And Bernie Nichols would have a few good years for Edmonton, but then went to Chicago and San Jose and went to other teams. But everyone remembers that Mark Messier, the Messier trade was huge for the Rangers. It got them leadership. And it got them the President's Trophy in 1992, which was great. But the fact of the matter is that the Rangers just didn't have the playoff drive. They lost in the second round to the Pittsburgh Penguins. They were up 2-1 on the Penguins. Adam Graves got in trouble for slashing Mario Lemieux, and basically it was just trying to protect the NHL was trying to protect their biggest star. And no, it was in the Gil Stein era. It was the John Ziegler era until Gil Stein took over in 1993. But let's not talk about that guy. So, unfortunately, the Rangers gave up a 50-foot goal in Game 4. Momentum shifted to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh would win that series in 6 games. And then Pittsburgh would not lose another playoff game the rest of that playoff series, winning 11 straight. So, anyhow, the problem is that the Rangers just sucked. And for some strange reason, they really regressed in 93. They weren't the same team. After all, they did give up 5 goals to Marty Lemieux on my 8th birthday, April 9th, 1993. But then again, the Rangers didn't really have star goalies. So the Rangers were preparing themselves. Messier was a good leader. Messier and Keenan would have to butt heads a few times in the 94 playoffs, especially in the conference finals and all that, after Brian Leetch got benched too many minutes. Messier basically blasted Keenan, and Keenan said, well, you do what's best. So Messier told the team that Keenan would let up a little bit. But then Game 6 of the 94 Stanley Cup semifinals, or conference finals if you want to call it that way, happened. Down 2-0, the Rangers got a quick goal by Alex Kovalev, making it 2-1 after 2 periods. But Messier put the team on his back. He had his famous guarantee, kind of like Joe Namath 25 years prior. And he delivered, just like Namath. He put up not 1, not 2, but 3 goals in the third period to give the Rangers the win that forced Game 7. And in Game 7, the Rangers won. Messier didn't really help in that game, but anyway, his leadership was second to none, and he's the last Ranger to lift the Stanley Cup over his head. There's also a Reddit community person who said something about what they called a Mark Messier trade tree. And the picture you see on your screen is that one. So Messier with DeBrusk, Nichols, and Rice. So if you look at it, Louis DeBrusk didn't waiver anything. But Bernie Nichols led to a few people. Nichols was traded for Zdeno Sigar and Kevin Todd to New Jersey. I thought he went to Chicago. Oh, no, I guess he went to New Jersey first, then Chicago. That's right, because Nichols was part of the 94 Devils team. So that they got Edmonton, Zdeno Sigar, and Kevin Todd. And then Kevin Todd was turned into Adam Bennett. That's the end of the Nichols name. But the Stephen Rice part of the trade tree is huge, despite the fact that Rice was the third worst thing that happened in that trade. Rice was traded to Hartford for Brian Marchment. And then they traded Brian Marchment for the rights to Roman Hamrlik and Paul Comrie. Roman Hamrlik would be in a trade with the Islanders, shipped off from Edmonton to the Islanders for Eric Brewer, Josh Green, and Brad Winchester. Eric Brewer would then be traded to St. Louis for Chris Pronger. That's how Edmonton got Chris Pronger. Chris Pronger was traded away for Jordan Eberle in a second-round pick, which they used for Travis Harmonic. So, Eberle, I think it was the draft pick for Eberle, to get Eberle, because obviously Eberle was drafted by those. And then Eberle was traded to the the Islanders, for Ryan Strome, and then Strome was traded to the and Strome was traded from Edmonton to the Rangers for Ryan Spooner and all that. So that's how the Mark Messier trade tree worked. But Mark Messier is an icon. I mean, lots of people in the Blue Shirt Underground group will think he's great and all that. Some say that, Messier sucked, especially after he left for Vancouver in 97 and pissed off the Vancouver Canucks fans. I mean, after all, he wanted number 11, even though that it was retired for Wayne Mackey, who died of brain cancer. All that. He rubbed Vancouver the wrong way, and they couldn't wait to get rid of him. Thankfully, though, the Rangers required him in 2000, and they buried the hatchet, literally and figuratively. And Messier did get some records while being with the New York Rangers, where he belonged. And where he belongs is a Ranger icon. Sure, he won 5 cups for the Oilers, but still, I mean, he helped the Rangers get that 54-year cup drought out of the way. So, why fight the power? Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Ado.